Hello, everyone, and welcome to An Apple a Day. This is your host, Apple here, and we're going to go ahead and get into our 5-minute meditation. I hope you all are doing well. So let's go ahead and get started. I am ready to let go of control and the desire to be right all the time. Most of the limitations in my life are fictional. I trust in the universe to help me through stressful situations. I let go of the need to constantly worry. I inhale joy and exhale anxiety. I am doing the best I can with the tools I have within me. I speak words of kindness to myself. I can totally do this. I find healthy ways to cope when I feel overwhelmed. It's okay to have other emotions while I'm pursuing happiness. I am becoming closer to my true self every day. Whenever I am stressed, I make sure I take time to breathe so I can think clearly. Everything is unfolding as it should. I free myself from anxiety. Breathing deeply can help me see things from a calm perspective. I am becoming stronger as time goes by. I trade my tension and anxiety for peace and joy. I am allowed all the time I need to recover physically and emotionally. This situation will pass, so I choose to deal with it calmly. I am built to survive this storm. I feel low now, but tomorrow is another day. I am ridding my mind of negative thoughts and filling it with positive ones. I remove my worries to make room for self-compassion. My racing thoughts are slowing down. I will let every worry go. I can handle whatever comes. I will take this one moment at a time. My worries disappear when I decide they are powerless. I am getting better at calming down. I am strong enough to cope with my feelings. I am learning how to manage my emotions. I can overcome any difficulty I face. I know I have the strength to change my circumstances. I let go of my pessimistic thoughts. I choose to be relaxed in any situation. I will always be there for myself. I inhale the good and exhale the bad. Where peace dwells, fear cannot. I can choose to overcome stress by choosing happiness. My mind only has space for positive thoughts. I choose to think and talk about solutions, not challenges. When others' lack of planning makes a crisis, it is my choice if I want to engage. I am in charge of my anxiety. Difficult situations create resilient people. I feel better as I step away from anxiety and stress. All right, that ends our 5-minute meditation. It's a little bit over 5 minutes, but that's okay. So now we're going to get into our episode topic question. So, our episode topic today is the question: where do you see yourself in 5 years? It's a question that, you can be asked on a first date. It's a question you can be asked in a job interview. When your friends and your family check up on you. If you just complete something, say like you just graduated from high school, just graduated from college, you just left your job, you got a promotion at your job, any like specific life change, you get married, all those types of things. A lot of times people will ask you, where do you see yourself in 5 years? Like, that's the short term. What do you expect to like have grown from where you are? And there's different aspects to this question, so they can ask it in multitude of ways given the events I just told you. So when they ask you personally, how I see it is they're asking you what is the personal development that that they want you to reflect on. If you have this habit, and it's a bad habit, where do you see yourself in 5 years? Do you expect to have broken that habit and picked up new ones that, a better one, a more counterproductive one, a one that's not counterproductive? For example, if you've been using drugs, right? If your therapist or, the person that's asking you or trying to get you on the road to recovery, they may ask you this type of question. And a lot of times people will say, or they hope for themselves that, they have gone through rehab and they haven't relapsed, It's not necessarily the drugs that ooze that, but there's, I would say, different aspects of drugs that is not just, the pharmaceutical one that that people really see. There's a lot of other types of drugs. So if you're in an abusive relationship, that is a type of drug. If you're in the type of atmosphere where vanity or, clicking or getting likes kind of thing makes you feel happy, but like without that you feel empty, or you feel like you don't have purpose, you don't really feel useful kind of thing. Any type of thing like that, or even things that I didn't say, are forms of drugs, And I say drug in the sense that something that is stimulating your mind that may get you, quote unquote, a high. It releases that dopamine. It makes you feel happy or makes you feel good about yourself in either that moment or another moment. A lot of times people look for short-term happiness instead of, choosing things that will give them happiness long term. And for the most part, where you see yourself in 5 years is a short-term question. So they're asking you, what is your short-term happiness? Like, what are you doing? What are you seeking that is going to give you that short-term happiness? And as I said, if it's a negative thing or something that is counterproductive to your life, how will you be making the changes so that you're doing something that is productive and that isn't negative, either for yourself or for others? Personally, where would you have grown if you have, the bad habit of, speaking negatively about yourself for any reason, you know, or for example, you struggle with an eating disorder. Where do you see yourself in 5 years? Do you hope to, 5 years from now, you're not speaking and looking at yourself in this negative light? Do you hope that, you've gotten help from your eating disorder so that you can actually, be healthy? And like not have to have that anxiety and that stress being added to you? What moves, what decisions are you going to be making to change those things so that in 5 years you do feel like happy and you do see light within you? What changes are you going to make personally, is what they may ask you. And it's a question that I feel like, for self-reflection, it's a question that you should be asking yourself every day. Where do you want to see yourself in 5 years? And what you're going to be doing to get there, right? Other times, depending on who's asking you, as I said, they can ask you this for a job interview, right? So if it's not a job interview, it may be like, professional or graduate school. They may ask you these type of questions as well. What do you plan to do with your degree and stuff like that? So these are like professional and academic outlooks of where you see yourself in 5 years. So professionally, you want someone, why they're asking you is, do you hope to stay with the company? If so, what do you expect to be doing in terms of your role and like your contribution to the company? Whether you be working for yourself and you're an entrepreneur or you're working for somebody else. If you don't see yourself working for them in 5 years, then they want to know why. What do you think you're going to be doing in the time? Are you just quitting to quit? Are you quitting to go and do something bigger and better? Are you quitting, corporate job to go and be your own boss, be an entrepreneur? Are you going to be doing a career path change? You don't really feel like what you're doing now is really for you. It's not what you're really passionate about. So what change is going to be happening in that 5 years? And they ask you these questions. They know that you do not have control over what happens in life, right? But what they really seek when you answer these questions is, do you have adaptability, right? Now I'll get in a bit into that a little bit later, the adaptability part, because it's more of a encompassing of all these types of ways that they can ask you these questions. So academically, usually when you go to a graduate school or professional school, so like medical school, dental school, pharmacy school, vet school, things like that, or lawyer school, say lawyer school, but yeah, they ask you these questions because they want to know, do you have what it takes in yourself? Not talking about necessarily how hard the coursework is, but if you said and determined in your heart and your mind that you want to be a lawyer, for example, are you going to do what it takes to become that lawyer and be the lawyer in, the specific field that you want? It could be immigration, it could be child protective services, it could be social work, any type of thing. But are you going to have the determination that no matter what is thrown at you, you're still going to try and get that degree and get it within the time period that you set for yourself or the program sets for you, kind of thing, Usually for professional schools, they have you in and out within a certain time, but, or they have a suggested time that you should be in and out, but, life happens. So they want to know if you're determined whether life is happening, no matter how hard life is happening, are you still going to be, looking towards your goal and still trying to meet your goals, right? If you're religious or not really religious, but you believe in any type of spirituality, right? And I say this is to not be necessarily religious about it, but if you see something beside yourself, you want to do something besides something for yourself, is how I'm defining that here. Where do you see yourself? What do you see yourself doing, right? Are you, giving back to your community? Are you working like soup kitchens? Are you feeding the homeless? Are you giving donations? Are you, if you are religious, are you growing closer to God, or are you growing closer to who you believe in? Are you strengthening that connection? Another thing people look at, I mentioned the first example was for this first date question, right? Where do you see yourself in 5 years? For interpersonal relationships, so this can be like can be like a platonic or a romantic setting. So if it's when you meet new people, right? Just in general, just friends kind of thing. You want to know if it's worth investing your time in this friendship. And if you do, you want to know how much time and attention you should put into this friendship. If it's going to be fizzling out within 5 years, you may not put that much time into it. A lot of people do that for like grade school and stuff like that. Elementary, you're probably there like the longest of 5 years, so you may have friends that are still there. But as a lot of people have seen, like friendships they had in elementary school don't necessarily last forever and ever, because your friend group like dwindles. You change friends from elementary to middle to high to college, right? So it's not just necessarily how much you put into this relationship, is what do I hope to gain from being this person's friend? What do I hope to learn from this person? When I say gain, I don't mean like take something from them in terms of like materialistic type of thing. I mean, like, am I going to gain, like, this person is compassionate, am I going to gain the ability to be more compassionate seeing how this person is? It inspires me to be more compassionate, right? Or on another leaf of that, this person's kind of rude and kind of mean. Am I going to gain that characteristic of being rude and mean by hanging around this person? If that's something you don't want in your character, if it's something that you don't want to be defining, or a trait that you have, usually you don't hang out with those people. You don't include yourself around them, right? Because you don't want to gain that trait towards yourself. I get that sometimes people are multifaceted, so that's always up to you how you see it. And that's why I say you can pick your nose, you can pick your friends, but you can't pick your friends' nose, right? And how I think about this, I was thinking about it earlier. It's saying that you can pick your characteristic traits, right? You can pick how you want to present yourself to the world, and that can be a good and a bad thing. Because we know people, manipulate, people are narcissists, all this other stuff that are multifaceted parts of, personalities kind of thing. But what it really boils down to is that you can pick the traits that you want to have for you as a person. Right? You can pick your friends. You can pick the people that have those similar traits that you have, or you can pick people that have desirable traits that you may want, right? but you can't pick your friend's nose. This means, like, you can't pick the traits that your friends have. You can't really decide that for them. That's them doing that for themselves. But you can pick the people around you that have the traits that you would like to have, whether it be in yourself or just have those type of people that are surrounding you. A lot of people, when they get in, cliques and stuff, they surround themselves with like-minded individuals. And in one side, this is good because, you can reinforce positive ideals, but in the same token, you can also be reinforcing negative ideals if you're around the wrong people. So the takeaway from that is you can pick your nose, you can pick your friends, you cannot pick your friend's nose. Metaphorically and physically. Okay. And still with interpersonal relationships, right? Relationship, the romantic side of it. It's a first date question. Where do you see yourself in 5 years? Do you hope to be in a relationship with me? If so, what are we doing in this relationship? Are we traveling the world? Are we getting a house together? Are we getting an apartment? Are we getting a pet? Are we moving in together? Am I meeting your parents? Are we getting married? All these types of things that are in the future for our relationship is what they're asking you to see. Do you see a future? It's going back to how much time you want to invest in the person, how much attention you want to invest in this person, if it's going to be worthwhile or not. If it's not going to be worthwhile, a lot of people, they'll hopefully, I would hope that they would say so before it gets to the point where you're like kind of questioning it. But I think it's really important that people, make those types of things clear, whether it be in a platonic or romantic relationship. You state what you hope to gain from being around this person, from the get. You state your intentions ahead of time. It saves a lot of confusion from happening in all aspects. But beyond that, it reinforces a positive characteristic trait, and that is honesty. Now, there's a way to be honest that may be brutal, but it's honesty nonetheless. It depends on the person, depending on what you're gonna get. It may be blunt honesty, maybe brutal honesty, or maybe soft and sugar-coated honesty, kind of thing. But it's really one of those questions that's asked in all aspects of your life. So I think it's best for you to be prepared to answer it in all those aspects, personally, professionally, academically, spiritually, and within interpersonal relationships. Like, you should be able to answer that question, right? No matter who's asking it, you should be able to answer that question. Whether no one asks, you should be asking it to yourself. You need to be able to find these answers for yourself. And then if someone else asks you, hey, well, you have the answer, but you need to be having the answers for this. That's part of self-development, is to have these answers for yourself. So, a lot of people, I've realized, both in my personal life and, seeing people online, because they don't really answer this question for themselves, when things come up, they're kind of at a loss. One of the sayings is, a failure to plan is planning to fail. And it's not saying that everything, you're going to know everything that's going to happen in your life, because that's not true. You're not going to know everything, unfortunately. And things will be thrown at you. You'll get tons of curveballs. Despite what you, hope for something to be happening in your life. I, for one, can attest to this. I've been thrown a many curveball. But what you hope to accomplish and what you're doing now to help accomplish those things is really the core of that quote. You may be saying, well, I want a car, a new car, by time in 5 years. Okay, well, what are you doing now to get that new car? Are you, getting your credit up so you can get a loan? Are you working to save money to buy cash? Are you doing a combination of those two so you can get a loan to cover it and you get it right away and then pay it off? Are you maintaining the car that you do have now, right? So it doesn't break down on you before those 5 years are up, because you may be in a situation where you can't even afford that car now. Something that you can see yourself having in 5 years, but it's not something feasible right now. So what you would need to be doing is maintaining the car that you do have, if you have the car, or if you're using public transportation, maintaining those things that you have now so that you're able to get better in the future. I'll use some biblical things, just because the Bible is a literary book, if not, if you don't want to look at it for religious purposes, right? And one of the scriptures in there talks about how a master gave his slaves, I think it was like $1, $5, and like $10 dollars kind of thing. And he told them to, go out and, do something with the money kind of thing. And when he brought him back, he's like, okay, how much have you guys made off the money that I gave you? And the 1 and the 5 made something with it, and the 10 didn't really do anything. He wouldn't bear his money. He didn't do anything with it. And it's not to say that, you had to make more money off of it per se, but he didn't do anything with it. He just kind of buried it there. He didn't even, use it on himself kind of thing. And his master called him, a fool. Because it's basically how it translates into like real life type of thing, right? It's like how people are fortunate or have talents for something. Say one person has 1 talent, 5 talents, and 10 talents, right? And these are all talents that can help the world become a better place, for example. This person with this 1 talent doesn't have, much, outreach to do things, but, does this one thing to help out their community. So this person with 5 talents does things to help out their family and their community. Person with 10 talents has all these talents, is not doing not a dang thing one of them. Well, yeah, if you have all these talents, you're so gifted with this, people are going to be mad that you kind of just let them go to waste. And that's kind of how the scripture translates to. It's like, if you have these talents, right, or if you have this money and you don't do anything with it, what is the point of having those talents or having that money? The money, I mean, not saying that you can put it in the bank. No, you can put it in the bank, right, and just let it sit there, and it'll accrue interest in a savings account. It might be a low interest rate, but you're still accruing interest nonetheless. That's still doing something with it. But this man literally went and buried the money in the ground. It was literally not doing anything, So that just goes to, tell you, if you have a talent for something, you should use it. There is some way, in some form, that you can use that talent. There's something, it may be something that you're not really aware that you can do, and that's okay. But that's why I think it's really important to, seek, when you're seeking happiness, you're also finding out things that you're good at. Because a lot of times the things that you're good at, they do make you happy because you're good at that thing. And a lot of people, if they're bad at something, they don't really feel happy, doing that thing because they're bad at it. But when you do something you're good at, a lot of times it brings you joy because you're able to do that thing well. And it's not to say that everything you do has to be monetized or anything like that. That's not what I'm saying at all. But you can use your talents to do good, whether it be for yourself, whether it be for others, but you can use your talents to do good. And I think that is a really important thing. So with life is, full of curveballs. Life is like a box of chocolates. You never know what you're gonna get. Thank you, Forrest Gump. A lot of life is about adaptability. How well you're able to adapt to any given situation or, curveball thrown at you. Do you dodge it? Do you let it hit you? Do you catch it? Do you hit it? It's all about adaptability, There's a lot of baseball references there. I get it. But, a lot of people don't plan to be adaptable. And I think it's one of, the biggest things people fail at. When I see planning now, because I used to be the type of person, I have to have everything planned out on the schedule, itinerary kind of thing. I used to be the type of person, and I would get so stressed out when things are not going the way they are, not hitting the time mark they're supposed to be hitting, stuff all like that. No, you don't need to be planning like that. How I plan now is, if I want to go and do something, I'll go and make sure I get it done that day, right? There are certain things that are within time constraints, and for sure, abide by those time constraints. But a lot of things in life, you can't do with time constraints. A lot of pressure that people have in, to start their life, to, have a family, get this job, start a career, etc., etc. A lot of things in life just don't go the way you want them to, especially at the time that you want them to, So what people look at is your ability to adapt, not your ability to plan things to the last detail, but your ability to adapt, right? For example, I want to get married to my high school sweetheart. That didn't happen. I'm here. I'm single now, not married. Right? But how have I adapted to that falling through kind of thing is, I still talk to people, I still talk to guys that pique my interest. But I still keep it in my mind, this is what I want. This is what I'm hoping to get at the end of the day. I want this type of relationship. That's my goal. Whether it be in 5 years, 10 years. 10 years now. That's gonna be oof. Because I'm 24 now, 34 getting married. That'd be weird. But, it's all about adaptability. How I've adapted is that I've kept my heart open to finding that person. Because the person I thought that was my person is not my person, So I've kept my heart open. That's the adaptability that I'm talking about, right? I've been wanting to move back to the state I came from before I moved here. That state is like home to me, right? And I haven't been able to get back there yet. And it sucks because I miss being there so much, right? But have I adapted since I haven't been afforded the opportunity to be able to leave, mainly financially, for myself kind of thing, right? How have I adapted? I stayed here and, I saved money. I didn't have to, go out and really get a job until 2019, when I started my first job kind of thing. I went and I was already in school. I went to high school here, and I just kind of stayed in college, getting degrees. I'm about to graduate with my 4th degree now. And a lot of people will be like, that's a lot of degrees. And yeah, it kind of is. I don't really like talking about it that much, because it's kind of just for me, it was just kind of something to do, but not something to do and just like, oh, I'm just going to, accrue debt. It's something that I'm going to be using towards my career. But it's like I wasn't able to go and do the most ideal thing for myself in terms of like what I actually wanted to do. But I made do with what was available. What was available, I was able to get my bachelor's, I was able to get my master's, I was able to get to associates. I was able to do those things. I had the support with me to be able to do those things, and I adapted to what was available to me. I didn't have the financial available like support for myself to be able to move and be by myself, but I did have the financial support to stay here, stay with my parents, and go and be in school and do my best in school, so that when the time comes that I can go and I can move away, I have something in my belt, on my belt, right, to make life while doing that a little bit easier for myself. I can go and get a job that, was going to give me a master's pay because I went and I got the master's now, right? One of the things I like to think about is that time is going to pass regardless of what you do, right? Time is just something that's going to be passing, right? It is always going to be better to do something worthwhile with that time than to just let that time pass. So instead of just doing nothing and sitting at home, letting just time pass, it's been like 6 years, I think, almost 6 years now. Because I started, it's been longer than 6 years. I graduated high school in 2015. I started college that summer, right? It's now almost the summer of 2022, right? I've gotten 4 degrees. I'm 24. Cool things, man. But I didn't let time just pass me by not doing something worthwhile to me, And it doesn't have to be something academic, because I know academics is not really for everybody in the way that it's important and to the degree that I'm doing it, kind of thing. I think it can be helpful towards all walks of life. You can learn something out there, whether it be in a formal school or, going online and find something out. But academic can be for everybody in that sense. But don't just let life pass you by. And you're not doing anything with the time that you were given on this earth. Don't be like that. Every second that passes by is a second that you're never going to get back. At any point in time, you are as young as you're ever going to be. Right? You're as young as you're ever going to be. You're never going to be this old again. So keeping that in mind, right? It's much more worthwhile to be doing something with the small seconds even that you're given in a day. Do something significant. It doesn't have to be worldly significant. I'm not telling you to create a $1 billion business, create an app that changes the world or anything. I'm not telling you to do that. Just do something for yourself even that makes those seconds that you're living worthwhile. And when you do that, you do find happiness. You find happiness in those little seconds that you take apart. Little seconds that you're actually making, a difference for yourself, a difference for others. And you become adaptable with each given second. But you also appreciate and treasure a lot more that's given to you in life. Because time is priceless, and time is also not promised, So with that, we're going to end it off on, saying 3 good things. So 3 things that you can appreciate today, or just in your life in general. 3 good things that happened to me today, particularly, right? I had a really nice dinner. you heard me like a little bit slurring my words because I just literally finished that. My mouth is still salivating. It's very good. And I had some water. Right? So that was really nice. My internet was out today and that sucked. But I was able to, just chill in bed and, just read comics. Webtoon is great. I was able to catch up on some webtoons. I have Manta comics as well. So I was able to catch up on my readings on there. So that was really awesome. And then, it was kind of just a lazy day because, besides that, I just kind of napped. And I'm afforded this responsibility, the ability to do this now because I do my own kind of work kind of thing. I work online. But it was nice to just, I was telling my friends the other day how even one day, just, being lazy, I get really, really antsy because I'm not doing anything. And, I had to take a step back and, reevaluate. I've been literally going nonstop this entire semester, doing so much, 13 credit hours. I was taking calculus. I think I deserve a little bit of a break. It's something that I have to, remind myself, you deserve a break. You can chill for a couple of days. And just, kind of just not have anything to do in terms of, not stressing myself. I can still do things, but just to be stressing yourself about things that, don't really have a deadline. Kind of weird kind of thing, for me, but it's something that I tend to do. So I had to take a step back and, evaluate that aspect of, myself and really look at and be like, you can chill. It's all right. No one's going to kill you. You're not going to die for chilling for a couple days, right? So, yeah, those are the 3 good things that have happened to me today. I hope to hear more from you guys and which good things are happening to you. And you guys can answer these questions as well for yourself and on the through the podcast. You can answer. So, with that, I want to thank you guys so much for tuning in yet again. It's been a blessing to be able to, do this, and I feel like more a community that I'm creating. So thank you guys so much. I appreciate that. As always, you can tweet me ideas, topics, questions that you may have at an apple a day with 2 Y's. And I hope to see you guys all in the next one. Have a good one and have a blessed day. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.